All right, welcome back to White Guys with Beards, the only show on YouTube with white guys with beards.
Okay, yeah. I am newly anointed in the YouTube men with beards cult, I guess. That's a thing now. Yeah, so we're talking about Croods too. Nothing to do with the movie, but I'm gonna keep that.
Yeah, no, that has nothing to do with the movie. I've recently been considering starting my own YouTube channel where I don't have anything to do with movies.
I'll plug it.
Going into stuff about like tabletop RPGs like D&D, and I'm looking at like every channel. I'm like, man, like 90% of these are just white guys with beards.
Telling you their opinion because, yeah.
Right? Like,
because it's more important than your opinion.
Exactly.
Any other non-white person with a beard, or person in general. Just me, white man with beard.
And many of them are, excellent and share a lot of useful information. It's just amazing because I'm looking at it like there's one person with a channel out there who's not a white guy with a beard that I'm watching, and he's still a white guy.
Well, yeah, sneak into that white non-beard demographic,
Right? But I look horrible without facial hair. I'm doomed.
Oh, I'm gonna keep this for as long as I can because like this hides the baby face and the double chin. It's great.
Don't give away my secret.
Oh, I'm talking about me, not you. I don't even project on that. Anywho, so Croods 2.
Yeah, Croods 2. So, in preparation for this, I actually went and yesterday. So I watched Croods 2 today, but yesterday I watched the original Croods just so that I would have that direct franchise comparison.
Yeah.
And for one, the animation quality, I was a little worried that they would simply just reuse the models, and it's definitely stepped up in quality.
I mean, DreamWorks, even like in their lesser products, still always has consistently good animation, so I wasn't too worried about that.
Oh yeah, but I was looking for like, I'm all right, let's if we set the bar as low as possible, let's see where it could be rough. And I'm like, no, they touch them all up, but still very much kept to the same concepts of the characters. I think the only like really major shift at the beginning of Croods 2 is in the original Croods, the mother, Uga, her hair is like a remarkably almost modern style at the end of the first Croods. And so they put her in like a headband for the second one. And it takes it a step back. And I'm almost appreciative because it caught me a few times rewatching the original where I'm like, man, her hair looks like salon quality. And she's supposed to be a cave person.
Yeah, I see why that could be troublesome when you put it like that. Now, I haven't seen the first Croods movie since it came out in theaters, 5 years ago? I don't even remember.
Yeah, something like that.
And I remember liking it all right. Like, I enjoyed it. It was kind of like a just off-brand enough and just kind of bizarre enough that I can get behind it. Mostly with Nicolas Cage consistently trying just to kill an old person.
Yes.
which is a plot point that's dropped in the sequel. And I was kind of disappointed by that.
Well, and so while I enjoyed Croods, it was it falls into a category in my family where it's like we don't talk about these kinds of movies because any movie about a family where the father is the constant reference point for stupidity and mistakes,
okay.
Which, don't get me wrong, Nicolas Cage voices that role really well. Like, my dad gets really angry about that, and understandably so, because he doesn't want to be depicted in that way. But I was like, oh man, this is a really good animated movie, and my family loves animated movies, but I couldn't tell them to go see it.
Yeah, makes sense.
It was nowhere near the same like debacle as when Coco came out.
Oh yeah.
And I got really excited for the first half of the movie because they're talking all about the wonderful musical talents of Senor de la Cruz. And I have a bunch of family who are Cuban and have the last name de la Cruz. And I'm like, oh, and then, there's that twist. And I'm like, oh, I can't say a thing. That won't help anything. No.
Uh, I remember the first movie primarily for like the ending, like to the which was like I know it has a happy ending, but I wish it ended sooner because it does have a really powerful like final moment where the dad realized how much like has that kind of come to Jesus moment when he's in the
Right.
cave abandoned and he's sacrificed himself to get his family out there. And it had that torch joke, which is just great.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. And I was kind of like, oh, I know it's cruel, but I kind of wish Nicolas Cage died because what an amazing way to go out that would have been.
Oh yeah, that would have been great, but it also definitely would have like there's no franchise here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like aside from The Lion King, I've never seen a franchise built on dad died in the first one.
I'm gonna put a pin in that for later because I'm. There's got to be another one somewhere, but I can't think on the top of my head.
Arguably every Disney franchise.
They can't be both parents. It can only be the dad. That's sort of like the cutoff I'm making for myself here.
All right. I look forward to like this will be your next deep dive video project. It'll be great.
God. Just call it Daddy Issues at Disney.
You got like a cork board with
doing the Charlie Day. So the sequel comes along like 5 years later, long past the point where anyone would reasonably remember this franchise. And it kind of comes along and it's like, okay, let's see if we can make something out of this. And for the most part, I enjoyed it. I thought it was perfectly fine.
Yeah, it had a number of points where it went way deeper than I expected a movie like this to be. And it subverted a number of tropes that I was really kind of scared to watch it go for. And so, do we want to work through the movie chronologically?
Let's just give like a brief synopsis, kind of give our thoughts, and then we can go to spoilers as we go.
Sure.
So this basic premise of the sequel here is that they're still the family unit. They're still trying to make their way up to this. Oh, by the way, this is where I have to talk to spoilers briefly in this because like this is the first 10 seconds of the movie. This movie opens with a horrific death scene.
Yeah, horrific in concept. It is not graphic by any means.
No, it's just like the minute you stop to think about it, it's like, oh my God, Jesus Christ.
Yep. So like in the first one, we find out that the character Guy, who is the only normal human, the only Homo sapien in the first movie, he notes that his family died by getting stuck in a tar pit. And this is a major part of how he and the father of this family bond with each other, is escaping from a tar pit. So, of course, the second movie has to start by giving you the worst possible method of, hey, we told you last time they died, but this time we're going to show you them dying in the tar pit.
And it is like just the most horrific like scene. Again, not like visually, but just the minute you think about it in context. Because it's the parents stuck in the tar pit telling their son just to go towards the light. Like, just get out of here. Go. It's okay. So it's like, now you have to like grapple with the scenario. It's like, the parents know they're going to die horrifically and slowly. And they tell their child to run so he doesn't have to watch it.
And I love catching these little details. Because it does start off, like, even before it cuts over to that, it starts off showing him, and he's, like, hugging his knees, and you see this trail of footprints leading up to where it was, and they're definitely his footprints.
Yeah.
But they're little tar stain footprints.
Which means he waits, like, the very last minute.
And then it cuts over, and you watch his family tell him to do this, and so, like, I caught that, and I'm just like, oh no, we're starting here. Oh, no. So yeah, kudos.
It's like starting up. It's like if you started Batman Brave and the Bold, and the first shot is both the parents just dying, bleeding in the alley,
right?
And all of a sudden, la 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 la. Here's the colorful things we can figure out the horrible thing we just showed you. Oh, you know what it is? It's the death of Bambi's mom. It's
yeah,
where you just hear the bang, fade out. Fade in, la 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 la. Like, are we just gonna skip over that?
Right? And this movie has a couple of moments where they do like The foreshadowing does not last long at any point in the second Croods movie, but when it happens, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So like before we get into that, just quick synopsis of the movie. So that's how the movie opens. That's what we think of that right off the bat.
yeah.
So we cut back to the present, the present past. We're all like the Croods and Guy playing by Ryan Reynolds. They're all like doing their wacky shenanigans and fighting off all these things to survive. And then they eventually stumble onto a massive wall where they find a huge oasis where they find the Bettermans, which is played by Peter Dinklage and Leslie Mann.
Yes.
And their daughter Dawn, and then shenanigans. From that point, if you can reasonably predict you can predict the moral of the story. If you can predict how they get there, I would legitimately be surprised.
Yeah, there are some unexpected twists. I laughed because I called one thing in it and I was not serious. So when it turned out I was right, it was fantastic.
Was
But
it the bananas
yes,
thing?
so they're running through the wilderness before they find this wall, and the big challenge in the family at this point is that Eep and Guy are totally teenagers in love,
Yeah,
and it
like
is
puppy dog
throwing
love.
off the dynamic because they are not doing their part.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did like the callback. Like again, I just love Nicolas Cage so much that I just feel like they animators do such a great job. Like you feel like it's his face on this character.
Yes, this movie has an amazing cast
It does
for how
like
little like notoriety the Croods franchise has. The cast is just amazing.
like Emma Stone, Nicolas Cage, Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Mann,
Right?
Peter Dinklage. I forget the others.
Yeah, I mean, all lots of great names. So,
And just the way they kind of play off each other. And again, I just have to talk like Emma Stone's consistently great no matter what she's in, even though like it's fucking
sure.
movie 43. Like she's reliable. So and she does a pretty good arc here. It's you know where the arc is going from the minute they show everything, but again, like the way it goes about it, and the more just the movie will take random acid trips in ways you just don't see coming that take you out of it. Just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah, so there are some weird acid trips, and we should address this.
Yes.
When they burst through the wall, they come across the Bettermans are, of course, farming.
Mm.
And so all of the food is, being grown in nice, clean, straight rows, which they know and all. But of course, all of the Croods immediately dive into eating as much as they can feasibly fit inside themselves, which, yeah, in that kind of a lifestyle makes total sense. But the scene, the way they do it, there is like animation distortion of their faces as they're going, like, it's trippy.
Like fisheye lenses, and everyone looks like zombies, and their eyes bug out.
Right? Like,
they look
minor
like some strong
callbacks
LSD.
right? Minor callbacks to like Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka
A little
and
bit, yeah.
the tunnel there,
And it's more like you blink and you miss like some weird visuals. Like, dear God, what happened? It's like you watch.
Right.
It's like if you blinked and you woke up and you open your eyes, suddenly you're in an Adult Swim cartoon. Or like
exactly.
Tim and Eric or something like that.
Yep.
And it's not the first time that happens. This happens like 3 different times in the movie. The other one is like when the Peter Dinklage character, who's like the father, Betterman, takes Nicolas Cage father, because the whole conflict of the first and second act is that the Bettermans want to pair off Guy, who I guess they grew up like they kind of sort of raised, they knew his family originally before they died, and they got separated along the way. So now they're reunited, but now they want to put Guy with their daughter Dawn, and they're trying to get the Croods to leave otherwise. So the Betterman dad decides to take him into a sauna and basically use like a weird like CIA manipulation tactic to exhaust him into thinking that leaving Guy there and running away was his idea.
Exactly. And it's weird. So this brings up one of my big questions about the movie.
What's that?
So the Bettermans knew Guy's family before they died.
Yeah.
And then Guy, as a child, was sent by the family to follow the light. And now, years later, because there's an age up sequence of Guy traveling before he finds the Croods, he finally finds them. And they clearly have been established in this new location for a while when he finds the Betterments.
Yeah.
This is not a new place for them. So how bad is Guy's ability to follow the light? Because either they've gone in a giant circle to come back to this general area, or Guy went far one way, met the Croods, and then has gone back the other way and completely not noted that, a lot of this looks kind of familiar.
Actually, my thinking is more of like, well, if we're going to follow the light from sunrise to sunset, that means theoretically he started his journey on the day in the opposite direction, and then as the sun crested above and started setting, he then had to backtrack his way back. See,
turns out Guy just walked the same 10 miles.
He's been yo-yoing for like 20 years. Based on this absurdly crude like Google Maps system.
Right? There's this this amazing groove pattern where, because of like the seasons, he's moved slightly north and south each day. And so you've got this weird like circle wave pattern.
Like a sine wave. So what we're saying is, despite all the ways they're trying to portray Ryan Reynolds, he's actually not that smart. That's what they're trying to say.
There's that, or there's just that perhaps, maybe, sort of, the Croods franchise is not as deeply cerebral on a scientific front as we thought.
That is up for debate.
Right?
Truly, this is what they'll be discussing in museums from that future time. Hey, does anyone remember Croods? No? Okay, moving on. But yeah, so like every once in a while, like the story follows a pretty like formulaic, almost like 80s sitcom style plot line. And then out of nowhere, you'll get just some really surreal and out there imagery or jokes or something that just comes right the fuck out of nowhere to draw you back in the mindset of, oh yeah, this is fucking kooky. And then you get back on that formula for a little while, and then suddenly evil monkeys show up.
Yes. So the one rule in the Betterment's place is that they don't eat the bananas. And at the end, near the climax of the movie, the parents of the Croods get very upset about this thing that they're being pushed to leave. And so, being in cavemen with insurmountable appetites, they eat all the bananas.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And this causes the Betterman's father to panic and go and he shows that there was some creature would come and bang at the wall, and he would dump the bananas over the wall to appease it. And this is the point where I turned to my wife and said, "It's punch monkeys." And we both had a giggle, because you haven't seen a punch monkey the entire sequel, but they're an entertaining piece of the comedy in the first one. And sure enough, when the wall gets knocked down, they're punch monkeys. And then it turns out that they have all these other headbutt monkeys and kick monkeys, and they go through like a dozen different types of like physically abusive monkeys.
Weird eyes.
Yes.
But before I get to that, though, I want to talk about the one joke in like right before that happens that caught me off guard. Was like up to this point, there's the grandmother character who up to that point has not done a whole lot, and she was like didn't do a lot in the first movie either, but she was a bit more central. And from this point on, she has a much bigger role in the plot, because out of nowhere they're in the dinner table. They're kind of like have a meet the parents moment when they're all just arguing and throwing shit at each other, and then just the grandma just turns towards the baby and just goes like, "Well, I guess we're all revealing secrets," and he just pulls her hair back, and it's like a fucking monster.
And this is one of those things where I'm like, they don't do a lot of foreshadowing, but when they do it, it's amazing, because the role her hair will because her hair freaks out and runs around the dinner table, and no one says anything.
That's right. They never address it, do they?
Yeah, like no one addresses it at the dinner table there, and I'm sitting there just like, is no one gonna note that grandma's hair is chasing the baby? Like, oh, but her hair will play an important role.
Yeah, I was not expecting to be a plot point. I honestly almost would have been happier, like, if that was it. Like, if his hair came out, chased the baby around, went back in her head, they never talk about it again.
Right, and then it just would have like I would have come into this being like, can we spend like 20 minutes talking about grandma's hair, because what the hell?
Because then you're gonna, like, you have to rewind, like, did that fucking happen?
Right?
Did I dream that?
Well, every so often a movie comes out where like something happens and you're like, that's weird, and then you get a friend who's a fan, or maybe you really liked it or something, but you get the you buy the hard copy and watch the deleted scenes, and there's some deleted scene where it's like that weird thing was essential, but they dropped the scene later on where it mattered.
True. Or you can go the other route and go Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where you have where the only scene anyone remembers from that movie is the fucking truck driver that has the big ass scary face, never comes back in the movie, but it's the only thing anyone remembers from it.
Now I just want there to be like a bit in every movie you do for 2021 where it's like, or you could go the other direction, like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and then just leave it.
See,
like, don't go to any further reference to the Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Just let the viewers go try to figure out how this lines up.
See, that can backfire me really hard, because if it's like, if I'm going like a 12 Years a Slave kind of movie.
Yeah, I could see this going poorly for you.
It sounds like, well, Brad Pitt could have saved the day as the white man, or you can go the Pee-wee Big Adventure route.
Everyone on the review just goes, I suppose they could have. So the next point in the movie is, like, you don't address it at all. It becomes the new like Wizard of Oz and Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
What's Pink? Okay, now what is the context for that? Because I don't know.
So there's a long-standing thing of like playing an album while you watch a movie with the audio off to see if the album lines up with the movie at all.
Okay.
And a major origin in that, as far as my understanding goes, is playing Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album while watching the classic Wizard of Oz movie with the audio off. And apparently there are a number of points where it lines up really well, and it's a hell of a trip if you're really freaking high. Or on other substances.
Whatever gets the job done at the end of the day.
Exactly. Coffee or
Does
Adderall.
coffee do that for you?
If you leave it just long enough.
How much do you drink on average? Because I imagine like a Futurama like scenario where you just like suddenly just time slows to a crawl.
2-3 gallons a day.
Oh Jesus. I feel like if you did that, you just go in like cardiac arrest every day, and they just have to resuscitate you. And then you're like, you gotta stop drinking coffee, man. Like, nah, can't do it. And then we just repeat the process every day. Thanks, Dave. All right, and then walk back home.
Right? Minor sidetrack to this sidetrack. But I got a heart rate monitor fitness watch for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
And I've known for a while from going to a doctor here and there, like my blood pressure is fine, but my heart rate, my resting heart rate, is a bit faster than your average person.
Really?
And so while the heart rate monitor was acclimating, the first day I wore it, it was just like, hey, see, your day today was like 6 hours of sleep and 18 hours of high stress. What is wrong with you?
See, like, there's two voices going in my head. One's going like, well, that's a lot. The other one's going like, yeah, why is that weird?
Right? Like, so I was just like, yeah, my heart rate sits around 90 all the time. What's the big deal?
It's like, what do you mean you're not supposed to feel stressed for 18 hours a day?
You
live in the Bay Area, right? Anyway, back to Croods. Entertaining side tangents. I feel like most people watch these reviews for the tangents anyway. But anywho, so the Punch Monkeys get involved, and it just becomes an entirely different movie, and yet it still works, which is kind of a surprising bit.
Right?
Because from
You
that
end up
point, it's
with
about how all the women have to go rescue the men. God,
all the women and Thunk.
and Thunk, who has this really weird subplot where he, I guess, like gets obsessed with a window, and the
Yeah,
window becomes his world, and
it,
it's an obvious reference to like modern day screen obsession, but at the same time, it's like they also don't really do anything with it.
right? Like, what do we do?
Like he has like one come to Jesus moment like towards the end, but he still has the little window thing the entire time.
Yep.
So like nothing
my
changes
window
still.
view of the universe has been wrong, but he doesn't stop watching the window.
Exactly. It's kind of like I feel like we learned something here, but I also feel like we didn't. But
Welcome to 2021.
oh god, oh that's too soon, man. We just had the Capitol Hill riots just the other day.
Yep.
Time of recording this. Ooh, what a world. But anywho, now I'm just distracted by that. And so the women go chasing after the men while the men are kidnapped and trying to figure their shit out, basically. While Guy, I guess, speaks Punch Monkey, so he becomes like the Princess Leia of the group.
Yes.
Right at the point where he's like left in nothing but his underwear on a leash by the head, like by the wise monkey, by the Jabba monkey.
I had not caught that parallel, but you're very correct.
Right?
Yeah. No, that's
the difference is, at least in Guy's case, it was more functional than sexual, but the parallels are still there. And then it turns out that all the monkeys like lost their water because Betterman's engineering was too good, basically. And he was too much of a colonizer. He took things away from the natural resources of the people. Now a giant monkey monster needs to continue a sacrifice. And I don't know what kind of metaphor they're going here, because I'm getting like some pagan vibes while also like indigenous people vibe. I don't know. I'm not trying to figure it out. It's not that kind of a movie.
Yeah, you're looking too deep if you're going for a greater message there.
This isn't Trolls 2, guys. There's not a whole lot to go with here.
And all of this peaks with both the fathers and Guy dressed up as giant bananas.
No, it didn't. And it culminates in them being dressed in giant bananas and realizing they're bros. That's where this is all going.
So you have the Sisters of Thunder and the Banana Bros.
Yes, and it kind of goes the Minions route, where it just has a sudden strong obsession with bananas, and you're not really sure why. It's kind of like when Ren and Stimpy has a lot of butt jokes. It's like, are bananas just naturally funny? Is that where we're going with here? I don't really understand, but whatever.
It is a fun word.
I'll go. It is a fun word. I will give you that, like magma or ligaments.
Indeed.
Anyway. I got lost there for a bit.
The next 5 minutes is just us spouting words we find fun to say.
Laser. And it culminates in a giant chase scene where they're all facing off against a giant monkey monster that's also parts like spinal fish or whatever. This movie also takes the Avatar route, and they just mash animals together, and whatever comes up.
Oh yeah, and they had weird animals in the first one too, and like I dig it, because at the end we don't know what anything was truly like back then. So yeah, way better to have a lot of fun with it and mash up animals we know.
There are so many like paleontologists and archaeologists right now who are just like, the fuck did you just say?
What is it? The more and more we discover that a T-Rex probably looked more like a chicken.
Touche. That is a good counter argument.
You know, we have bone structure. I found myself sitting watching Croods 2 and be like, who knows? That thing could be mostly cartilage, and we'd have never known it existed.
Okay, moving on.
Isn't that terrifying to realize?
That would explain the spider wolves, which is one hand just weirdly cuddly and also gross and terrifying.
It is. I have a dear friend who I'm going to need to reach out to, and like I don't know how to approach. I think I may have to take a picture of it and like send the picture over. Because on the one hand, she is the most diehard, I want to pet all the dogs in existence fan I've ever seen. But she is also incredibly arachnophobic. And I'm just, I don't know which side this is going to land on.
That is a litmus test that I kind of want to see the conclusion of.
Right? So like part of me wants to be like, oh, you should see this. They're the most adorable, because they are adorable and fluffy and cute, but they are also definitely spiders.
It's mostly like once they get the spider wolf in there, it's okay. They're cute and cuddly after that. But their intro just it's weird and kind of just uncomfortable to watch. And then one like comes down on a spider web upside down and is like, I have mixed feelings about that. And it gets better after that fact. But that's also around the time this movie becomes a death metal cover.
Yes.
Because now the grandma, who at this point has become the leader of the Thunder Women, has like stripped off her clothes and has revealed herself to like have a full like Viking bra, a 6-pack abs, and just ready to rock. And everyone else gets these code names, and then everyone gets a death metal cover as they're fighting off the punch monkeys.
Right. A couple of things I loved about that is one, when the mother, I can't remember. I remember Dawn, but I can't remember either of the parents. So, but the Betterman's mother.
I'm DBing it. Keep going.
Okay, but so there's a point where they all are sleeping in a pile, and the mother really resists this and eventually gets pulled in.
Oh, Uga.
And
that's the mom's name.
Was it?
Uga.
Yes, Uga's the Croods' mother.
Yeah.
The Betterman's mother.
Oh, they're the Betters. Hope Betterman.
Hope, there we go. Yes.
Played by Leslie, which is perfect casting.
Oh yeah. So she gets pulled in, and when she wakes up, they see her hair.
Oh yeah.
And as I have some Italian heritage, but I married a very Sicilian woman who has many Sicilian family members, and it's like, yes, they wake up and the hair is just, it's completely different than after they've had time to treat it and brush it and do whatever they're going to do.
And it's just this gigantic mass with one silver streak going down the middle.
Exactly. And it's amazing. But at the same time, like, then the grandmother's going around giving all of them their new names. And she gets to Hope and she's like, you are bog water. She's like, bog water? And the grandmother's like, I thought of it before I saw your hair. So that, and the other one I want to note in the when she's giving the names is that Thunk stays Thunk.
Yeah.
And she gets like halfway through, she's like, oh yes, you will be, Fireheart and Bloodhorn, and you will be Thunk. And then moves on, and it's just like they do such a good job of like, yes, Thunk is there with the Thunder Sisters. And anyways.
So then they all storm this castle, and it just turns into bedlam, and everyone has their come to Jesus moment, pretty much all at once.
Including fantastic like power chord moments of each of them coming in with the new names like put on the screen with them.
Yeah, that's where like the full like death metal cover just comes into full play.
And which just gets even better towards the very end of the whole sequence when we see the two dads coming out of it together as Banana Bros.
Yep. And they decided they like each other all of a sudden, but I was kind of like, okay, kind of a leap, but I'll go with it. Sure. Because up to that point, the dad has been just a pompous ass of look how smart I am. I'm gonna like smell my own farts kind of pretentiousness.
It's true. And it smells like gentle rain.
And it's Peter Dinklage, so it sells.
Right.
Because I've seen Angry Birds 1 and 2. This is a step up.
Ooh, I have not seen the sequel to that.
Don't.
On a scale of 1 to Legends of Oz.
Oh man, that's a low bar. Nothing has quite gotten to that level of just, my God, why are we watching this?
Yeah.
Like, I think the only one that would like go below Legend of Oz would be Norm of the North. Is the only I think of things we've watched in theaters.
I think I liked Norm of the North better.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't like Tank the Tree? Legend of Oz.
It's not the greatest role Patrick Stewart's ever had.
Neither for Stephen Martin.
Right? On the other hand, you could have gone the Pee-wee's Big Adventure route.
I think he kind of did. Oh man, but yeah. Anyway, so they become bros, and everyone goes like a big happy unit, and everyone learns how to move on and embrace each other and all that good stuff. And it's an entertaining movie.
Yeah.
Like I think I think I like the first one a little better. But for a sequel that didn't have a huge demand, and it turned out better than I expected, so I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I was a little bummed that up until this point, almost every movie that I've watched for its release, through whether it's Fandango, Amazon, Google Movies, if the rental price is up at $20, as it is for the Croods 2 when I watched it on Google Movies,
yeah,
they've had the option where for $25 you can just buy it.
Yeah, they don't have that for this. I think it's because the movie's still technically in theaters right now.
I think that's the case. But it's a bummer that it's not there, because in every case there, I've just paid the extra $5 to own it.
The one I wish I did that for is Bill and Ted 3. That one I wish I bought.
Oh, yeah, I definitely bought that and have gotten my money's worth and then some.
Because that movie is just delightful.
It is. It was exactly what I needed to pull me out of some really dark moments last year.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree.
So,
I marathoned 2 and then bought the third one like the same day. So it was a good fucking day.
Nice. Yeah, I think I've watched the third Bill and Ted like 5 times.
Damn, nice.
Like, it's not, we're not yet to Mahan and Cats yet, but
Oh my God. that was a weird part of the year.
Yeah, it's funny because going into it, like I was watching that happen as an outsider because I still haven't watched Cats.
You still haven't seen it?
No.
Muha found in theaters the original unedited version. Recorded the entire thing for posterity.
Yeah, no.
And that's just like, if anyone wants to see it in its purest form of madness, just ask me.
There's a brief moment every time I say I haven't seen Cats yet, where I keep expecting the door to my apartment, which is behind me, to just suddenly burst open with Muha standing there and be like, "It's time!"
No, one I still got to make both of you guys sit down and watch is Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas.
I was part of the original crew on that.
I remember that. Yeah, we got to return to it and make Muha watch it.
I've got a plan. First, we're going to make Muha watch it, and then a year later, we're going to get together to do it again, but we're going to put the audio of Cats over it, and we're going to see if it lines up anywhere.
It'd be great if right around the time St. Nicholas is being the guy to Dust Step is around the time Memory starts up. So it's like, memories all alone in the moonlight.
I can only hope whatever the big finale to Cats is lines up with him doing the worm.
That Memories would also work for that. Really, you can cut Memories at any part of Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas. It works surprisingly well.
Where year 3 is just we have Memories on loop.
And we rank the scenes it works best in. Oh, that video would get copyright strike so fast.
So fast.
But anyway, I can't think of a whole lot else to talk about this movie. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Trying to think. No. I admittedly I'm still amazed, having rewatched the original, that there's this fantastic moment where the son Thunk befriends this like crocodile dog that he names Douglas,
Oh yeah.
and they're sleeping on like a giant piece of fungus way up on a tree, and he tries to teach Douglas to roll over, and Douglas rolls off and falls.
Oh yeah.
And then you don't see Douglas again until almost the very end of the movie, where the dad saves all of these animals, which is a great moment, and it's an entertaining thing at all. But like, honestly, I'm still kind of amazed Douglas is alive.
Honestly, I thought there was a point he died in this movie too, because it's
Right?
the part where Nicolas Cage tells Thug, like, go play with your pet. He seems lonely. It's like, all right, fine, go fetch, and he just stabs him in the eye.
Well, he stabs the chicken seal in the eye, and they both run from it.
and it doesn't show up again for like until
near the end. It's like,
goofy.
yeah, if they had just been like, hey, where's Douglas? And Doug had just been like, chicken seal ate him. And then they moved on, it would have been like, yeah,
that tracks.
Douglas.
Yeah. Poor Douglas is dead. All right, that's just it. That's the end of it.
Right?
Kids, go cry now. It's okay.
Of course, yeah, with the size of the eggs they were able to get from the chicken seals, I could have seen there being like a sequence at the end where like, and now we all live in harmony, and they lift one of the chicken seals and lift up the net, and it's Douglas twitching slightly.
I would have so many biological questions about that.
Welcome to this franchise.
Touche. All right.
Like, that's fascinating, but they could have gone the way of Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
That's gonna be great to pull out of nowhere, just with somebody who has no context for that joke and just leave it there. Like,
now I have to go talk to the rest of the team without you knowing. Be like, hey, this is what you got to bring up, like, especially if it's a serious movie.
Oh, in that case, I got to bring someone who hasn't been on camera in a while and like trick them into it. Hey, Marissa, are you busy? This is gonna be like a 5-hour setup to one punchline. But yeah, so final thoughts for Croods 2.
I liked it. I give it a solid B+,
Yeah, so I give it a solid B. It's good for a sequel that I don't think it maybe last for. I liked it. It was fun.
Exactly. It's definitely getting put into the list of animated movies that, as my niece gets older, and I'll be able to start like keeping an eye on her and introducing her to cartoon movies. Like, this is going to be one that she's going to like.
Yeah, I can see that. What you should do, you really want to mindfuck her, is go with Into the Spider-Verse. Watch it all the way to the completion. Text me when the movie is done. I will be waiting in my car in the Spider-Man costume.
See, you mentioned getting into shape, and I actually just had the thought the other day of like, after all this quarantine and being unable to go do any of the like Spider-Man costume stuff, I really hope you've picked up a gray pair of sweatpants for yourself.
Well, it's funny you should mention that.
just because, like, put on the Spider-Man costume, put on the gray sweatpants, and you are cosplay ready.
I know, right? Into the Spider-Verse has done so many favors for the Spider-Man cosplay community.
Right.
Because that was like, why are you fat? I'm just from a different universe.
Yeah, it's just the universe. I wasn't like this before.
Yeah. Totally flat before I warped over.
Doing crunches, doing push-ups, getting strong, and he's crying in the tub.
My favorite part of that is still can you imagine a seahorse being with another seahorse and making it work?
Right?
It's like, same. But anyway, I think we're just shooting the shit now. So go check it out. It's worth your time.
Definitely.
We still got a bunch of shit to catch up on. I'm not going to bother listening here, but I do want to finally review Soul sometime in the near future. So that'll probably be the next one we do.
Oh yeah, Soul is good.
I've seen it 3 times now.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, that would be an interesting one to talk about. Some other different layers, very different layers to talk about that movie.
Yes, that is a much deeper movie than Croods 2.
Very much so. It's an interesting pairing. So
bananas play a very different role. I don't know that there are any bananas in Soul, so I can't back that.
Is the banana like a pseudonym for something? Like a
Ah.
metaphor?
All I could think of is to line it up with pizza.
Just like Pee-wee's Big
Because
Adventure.
when 22, yeah, it's true. It definitely went the same route as Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And on
Good
that
night,
note,
everybody.
good night, everybody.